afternoon. After It's Monday. I thought it was Tuesday for a second. It is Monday. Giving God all the honor and glory this day for waking us up this morning, blessing us, giving us another opportunity to get better today than we were yesterday. It is hot here. My car says 97, and I believe my app says 92. I tell you what, any other time, I'll be upset and mad because it's hot. And something will be irritating me because either I'm sweating too much or my hair won't do what I need it to do because of the heat. But on today, I'm grateful. I'm grateful for the heat. I'm grateful for the sun. I'm grateful for the birds. I'm not going to say I'm grateful for the bugs, but I know that we need them for our ecosystem to keep things moving in order, pollination and all that, right? But I am truly grateful. God is so good. Um, just the fact that he woke me up this morning, that in itself is enough to be grateful for, right? So I'm grateful. You know, the day may not be perfect, may not have started out perfect, but we're here. I heard an old wise man. What up, Ty Pro? I heard an old wise man say once that when people come to him and tell them that they're struggling, he says, "That's good. That's good." And he says they look at him crazy, like, "What you mean that's good?" He said, "That means you're still in the fight. If you're struggling, that means you haven't given up, and you're still in the fight. You know, you're not dead yet." So I take everything um, as a blessing, good and bad, good and bad. You know, this morning my son copped an attitude, and I was just like, "What?" Because he will walk out of the house with his hair looking crazy, and my son has very, very thick. When I say thick, I mean thick, coarse, dense, freaking hair. And it's just so beautiful because you can do so much with it. I always pour into my son and be like, look at this is what makes you you. You have hair like your grandmother, you have hair like my brother. Hey, King Amir, you got hair like, because my hair is not like that. My hair is uh thinner and finer and tightly coiled and just, but his hair is just so thick. And I mean, like you can part it and 2 seconds later it just back together. That's how thick and boisterous his hair is, right? And he wants to grow it out, but he doesn't like for me to comb it. Hey, Mike Mitro. But he was trying to walk out of the house without at least brushing down the faded areas, and you know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, bruh, like your hair needs water. The type of hair you have, you need to moisturize it and put on something to seal it. Every morning you got to put something on it and shape it and do whatever you want to do. But you can't just wake up and then just leave. Like you're not doing that because you're a representation of me, right? He don't give a damn. So once I started putting stuff in his hair, that's when his whole mood changed and his his forehead get like this. King Amir says I'm half native, so my hair is thick and curly. Yep, yep. You got that thick curly stuff. So you can't just walk out of the house with it looking, you got to do something to it before you just walk out of the house, because you're a representation of yourself and who you are. The world needs to know that you care about you. Otherwise, they're going to treat you like you don't care about you, right? So he had an attitude or whatever, and I made him a biscuit before he left and everything. He didn't say thank you, and he's just still in his. I'm good. How you doing? All right. Be safe under the water there, Miguel. And it was starting to bother me a little bit, and so the first thing that I clicked on was DOY Creations. She does crochet, and she's such a sweet woman. And so she was live, just crocheting and talking. And something told me to type in the chat. My son has an attitude this morning, but it's okay. This is how my morning is starting out. And she read my comment and she said, "Oh, no, 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 we bind that in the name of Jesus. We not." She said, "The enemy will come and first thing in the morning will attack." She was like, "We got to pray over our kids. We got to do this. We got to do that." And it was exactly what I needed to hear. So I paused the live stream and he was getting ready to get out the door to catch the bus. And I just said a prayer over him and I said, "You're gonna have a good day, son, regardless of, you're in a bad mood, but God loves you, I love you, and I made him say his affirmation or whatever. And oh, I wanted him to put on sunscreen because I knew it was gonna be a hot day. So as I'm putting it on him, he's real ticklish. So I just started extra tickling him or whatever. Next thing you know, he's laughing and stuff like that, and his mood changed. But I just thank God for, people who are God fearing, people that may just give you a word that you didn't know you needed. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just grateful that that was the first thing that I clicked on this morning because her words were powerful, and she let God use her in that moment. And that in itself made a difference in my day because when my kid is in a good mood, I'm in a good mood. He's in a bad mood. Sometimes I let that affect me, which I shouldn't, but I do sometimes just because I care for him so much and I love him. King Amir says, "I wet my hair to keep it moist from." Yeah, you have to. You got to keep it moist because the sun will dry it out. What up, Bridget? You know, so I was just really grateful um, for her words this morning. Uh, life is life. Life be life. But the thing is we can't let every little thing get to us and affect who we are and our moods and stuff like that. You know, one other thing that I learned with my kid is that, just like my title says, there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's so true. Sometimes I want him to do things the way that I want him to do it rather than the way he wants to. And, at the end of the day, we have to pick our battles with our kids, with our spouses, with people we work with, just in general. There's more than one way to do things. So we can't get too upset when somebody doesn't do things the way that we want to. What up, Derek Gaines? Good morning or afternoon, rather. Um, and I understood, later, especially when I got sober. Look at you with a broken heart. You are crazy. Um, that when we want to control what other people do, that is really a control issue for us because we can't control what other people do. We can only control our actions and how we react to things, right? We can't control what other people do, but we can control how we feel about it and how we move based on what another person does or doesn't do, you know? And when we get so upset to the point where it just bothers us and it kills us on the inside that a person is not doing what we want them to do or how we want them to do it, that is truly a control issue that we have to work on. I learned that many, 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 many years later in life. I wish I'd known that sooner, but hey, we all live and we learn. Hey, Pooh Man, what up? Oh, Lord, baby DG. My goodness. Ask Derek. How's the baby doing? Are you guys going to donate to our baby shower? We're going to do an online baby shower, right, Derek? I can't promise I'm going to be in the baby's life because I already told you I don't need no more kids. I'm done. So you're going to have to raise it by yourself. I can't be there. Oh, Lord, she broke my heart. Y'all are crazy. What up, Thunder? How are you doing? I hope all is well. How you been, Thunder? Thunder, I thought about you the other day. I had to order my neighbor a AM FM radio, and I even ordered myself one that is solar panel and it has a flashlight on the end just in case the world ends. So I thought about you. I was like, oh yeah, Thunder would want me to get this one because you can solar charge it. You can even plug your phone up to it. if you need to. So yeah. But wow, this is crazy. Um you'll be all right. If I can do it, Derek, you can do it. What's going on, Prince Bud? How are you? You guys were on that live late. I went back this morning to catch the end of the live, and Derek was talking about Quaker Steak and Lube, which I had when I was stationed in Dayton, Ohio. We used to pass that place all the time, and I finally tried it, and I was not impressed. But that was 20 years ago, so it may have improved by then. I don't remember what I had. I know I had some fries and probably some beef or something like that, a burger maybe. I don't know. But I wasn't impressed. Yeah, it is clean. It's very clean. It's kind of clean eating. Um, but I remember it didn't have flavor to it. So I wasn't. But you guys were on there late. And I think I fell asleep in the middle of it. So I think I fell asleep before you guys got on the panel. I can't remember. It was a flashlight, like a handheld. Well, it was a handheld AM FM radio about this big, and it had a light on it, and then there was a panel on top that you can flip up to get the solar rays, I guess. But that's what powers it. Um, but it was like $40. And it had a USB port. It had an FM, AM, FM radio with an antenna and something else on it. But I got it from Amazon. Hey, Chelsea Lynn, Coach Chell's in the building. Look at Gary. How you doing, Gary? You guys make sure you check out Gary's last live. It was really good. It was about education, educating yourself. You know, I had that discussion with Agree to Disagree podcast. We're talking about, you know, people's choices in life. Hey, Nate the Great, Nate baby. What's up, Nate? Oh, it's raining where you are, Prince Bud. What state are you in? You have to tell me what city, but what state are you in? Yes, blessings to the chat. Appreciate you. Chelsea with the good posture because she got a good doctor. I miss Cree's drops. She gotta get that fixed, man. We gotta come together and get her some money to get that her laptop fixed. Look at TIQS. Hi. How are you doing? Yeah, Motivational Monday. So, anyways, I was on A2D2's podcast, and we were talking about just like, you know, the system and how there are systems in play to keep certain minority groups back. Well, the Black community, for one, you guys know that we are at the bottom of the economic totem pole. And I know when you talk about Native Americans and totem pole, the least of the least is actually at the top, but we always reverse it. So the bottom. So we are at the bottom of the economic totem pole. And so at this point, at this juncture in our lives and throughout history, all the things that we've been through and seen and have survived and gone through, I will say this: number one, Blacks we are the strongest population, period. The fact that we can go through all these things and we're still here and still reproducing, that in itself is a feat. Hey, official 1SP, happy Haitian Flag Day to you. All right, happy Haitian Flag Day. You know, I think I'm Haitian because of my last name, but I haven't done, you know, the history stuff. I gotta look at that and see. But I'm pretty sure I'm Haitian. I've met some Haitian people and they say I'm Haitian, so I think I might be part Haitian. Look at 3 a.m. What up, 3 a.m.? We've gone through the most. We really have, you know. Um, but the argument was pretty much, out of everything that we've gone through, at this point in our lives, if we are still dependent on the government, if we are still behind, if we still haven't gotten our GEDs and done what it was that we need to, that's a personal choice. There's no system that's holding you back, you know? And a lot of conservative blacks feel that way. The Democrats don't for the most part. And I understand his point, but at the same time, we cannot negate that racism still doesn't exist and that there are people that are still held back because of it. Just the fact that we have uh the Section 8 housing and all of these things. I literally saw a clip where a woman was on Section 8 soon as she got a job and reported it as she is supposed to. She lost her Section 8. But guess what? The money that she makes from her job isn't enough to sustain her. So these are systems that are in place to where you make enough to not qualify for certain things, yet and still it's not enough to live on. And that's not right. And so these are the type of systems that are in place that keep us back because we are already at the very bottom. So then when we try to get a leg up, we're knocked right back down. Not to mention the fact that the goalpost is constantly being moved forward, But it's just a trip. So back to what Gary was talking about as far as educating yourself, part of uh knowing who you are, knowledge of self, which Demetra K talks about all the time. Great channel, check her out. She always talks about knowledge of self. And that is so important. You have to know who you are. You have to know where you came from. You have to know your lineage, and you have to know what the people before you have been through and the things that they've overcame, because that gives you strength, that gives you power, right? It gives you an idea of what you should be trying to outdo, right? Like me, I have a son. I want my son to be better than me. I don't want my son to be just as good. I need him to be better than what I was, right? So I impart knowledge, wisdom, education. The things that I'm learning, I impart onto him. The things that I am discovering, I impart onto him. The things that our people went through, I impart onto him. Yesterday, I had a card that my mom had made me because my mom was an artist. She used to draw and paint and stuff like that. And my parents were part of the Mau Mau's back in the day, and that's just an offshoot of the Black Panthers. And so they were part of that movement back in the 60s and the 70s. And so, anyways, but they're Pan-Africanism. They're Pan-Africanists, right? I know a lot of you guys say that we were already here and that we are the true natives and all that good stuff, and that's cool, but that's not how I was raised. And so it's hard to change that ideology to that from what I was raised as, right? So, anyways, on the card it says Uhuru Sasa, and that just means like strong warrior. And I told him, I said, my mom was always my biggest cheerleader. My mom always imparted knowledge, wisdom, and strength in me. And anything that I ever wanted to do or set out to do, she was my biggest cheerleader. My mom was something else now. She wasn't perfect, right? None of our parents are perfect, right? But that's one thing I can say about my mama. She was always my biggest cheerleader. And if I called her complaining about somebody, she would jump on the back. I know that mother, right? She was just my biggest cheerleader. She always, even if I was on that BS, my mom would always condone my BS. But she was my biggest cheerleader. And you know what my son said to me? My son said, finally. I said, finally what? Finally, you saying something good about grandma. I said, what? I said, what are you talking about? He said, anytime you're telling me a story, it's usually something bad that she did. I was like, oh my God, I got to fix that, you know? And I said, well, tell me this. Why do you think that I share those things with you about my mom? Certain things that I went through? And he was like, I don't know. And I said, well, a lot of it is just to rehash, number one, that you have it better than what I did, number one. And number two, it's not to bash grandma, but it's to let you know I'm I don't want to be that way. I want to do better, but I also need you to understand the things that mommy went through as a kid, as a teenager. This is important for you to know who I am and the things that I was able to overcome, because that type of stuff is what's going to give you strength. Like if my mama could go through that, having a mother who was on drugs off and on for years, and these are the effects of that, I need you to learn from that, you know? Look at Candy Cane in the building. Hey, Candy Cane Lane. Princess Lady Diana. How are you doing? I hope all is well. I hope your trip was amazing. TIQS says just dropped in to hit the like button. Shout out to y'all. Y'all behaving here. Looking at Derek. Yep. We gonna behave, TIQS. Thank you so much. Josie Lynn says, Truth Mo, I always say y'all the strongest for real. We are. And that's not to be braggadocious or anything like that. But honestly, the things that we've been through and been able to overcome, and we still here. We're still here. You know, we're not gone. We're not eradicated. We're not almost extinct because of the things that we've been through. No, we're still here. We're still strong. We just have to band together, you know? Chelsea says, Truth Mo, this is why I enjoy your content, because you acknowledge that, and it's still an issue. It is still an issue. We can't sit up here and act like there aren't systems in place, designed. At this point, the machine is already able to work on its own. They've already set the groundwork. So a lot of the stuff, and I think this is to a point to what Super Kim was saying, the machine is already in play, right? So there's nothing that they are doing at this particular point, I think. I mean, there are still things in play, but honestly, on a surface level, things that are happening now, we are doing to ourselves, you know? What up, Riaz? A lot of the stuff we're doing to ourselves. At this point, we have to do better. We have to understand that there are resources out there, there are books, and there are people to help us. All of the things that you need to do, honestly, are right here on this app. If it's not here, people here can point you in the direction to get the resources you need to make yourself a better person. Educate yourself. You can open up the Bible and open up Proverbs and Psalms and read stories of different people and how they were able to overcome certain things. There's laws and commandments in there that will help you be better. Seriously. And if you follow those, God is going to bless you. And I'm not just talking about material, wealth, money. No, 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 no. You want to be able to have the discernment to know this decision I'm about to make is not right. And if I do this, this and this and this is going to happen. But a lot of us don't rely on the good news, on the gospel to lead our lives. And that's where a lot of us fall short. But if you educate yourself, if you seek the knowledge, if you seek the education, seek wisdom from somebody that's already been there. The pastor on One Church Generation said there's people on these apps that are teaching you how to do something that they haven't even accomplished themselves. They ain't even done the work, but they're trying to tell you how to get it. Make that make sense. Guess what? It don't. It don't. Ria says, it took me until 24 to discover my identity and my ancestry. That's right. Yeah, sometimes it takes time. But once you get there, you get there. What up? Oh, Donovan. Hey, DX Files. How you doing? I hope all is well. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just glossy because it's hot. I've been sweating. I just got in the shower and I kind of oiled up, and then I'm out here on my way to the commissary where everything is a little bit cheaper. We got to keep these bills intact. How are you doing? I hope all is well. Look at everybody doing good on this lovely Monday that God has created. They says blessings to anyone I might have missed in the all you in the lab cooking. That's what's up. What you making? What you cooking up? Speak on them strong moms. Yeah, got to. Absolutely. You know, Regardless of how we got here, we here. I think sometimes it's unproductive or counterproductive rather to speak on what people should or shouldn't have done, you know? Um, because at this point we're here. What are we gonna do now? Right? Yeah, we got here, but how we got here at this point is irrelevant to how we're moving forward. You have to look back as far as history, right? Because you don't want to repeat it. But as far as continuing to look back, like Lot's wife, you continue to look back. How you gonna move forward? You know, I've already forgiven myself for the way I brought my son into this world. God has forgiven me because He's continued to bless me with people that care. I got friends that send my son books. My son loves to read. That in itself is a blessing, and that takes off a lot of stress from me because I don't have to buy them, right? I got people that step in and give me advice on how to raise him, right? Just like DOY this morning, she gave me a word from God that I needed to hear. So God is going to bring things and people and situations in my life that's going to bless me as a single mom because He's already forgiven me and I've forgiven myself. So now we move forward, right? So I'm good. If you a single mom, stand on that shit. Candy Cane Lane had an excellent podcast the other day about if you haven't given birth to a child, then you're not a real woman or something to that effect. But the conversation, it was a clickbaity title to pull people in. But the discussions around that thought process was amazing because you had women on there that thought, you know, bringing children into this world was just a vanity thing, and she saw no purpose in bringing children into this world. And then you have women who actually were mothers, and they expressed why they, brought children into this world. And then you had a man on the panel who expressed why he wanted to continue his legacy and lineage. And so it was some back and forth and things like that. But at the end of the day, guess what? They were able to dialogue without calling each other names and cussing each other out and screaming and yelling and dropping out. Well, I think the guy did drop off at some point, but then he came back to explain himself. But the fact that we're able to have, because it's all about perspective. Everybody's life is not going to look the same. And even though I had a crackhead mother, guess what? I still view motherhood in a way that somebody else may not. One person say, "Hey, my mom should have never brought me." And that was the saddest thing when one of the ladies asked, "The things that you went through with your mother, do you wish that she would have never had you?" And he said, "Yes." And that broke my heart because it was like, damn, he feels like he would have been, or the life would have been better without him being here if she just hadn't have procreated and made him. And that was really sad to hear because no, you are here for a reason. You're here for a reason. The world would not have been a better place because God allowed her to carry you and bring you into this world. Yeah, your life may have been hard, but so what? You're a grown person now and you have your own kids now. That thought process just blew my mind. But if you go on Candy Cane Lane, her last live, excellent dialogue. I loved every minute of it, even the stuff I didn't agree with. Excellent. So kudos to you, Candy Cane Lane. Yeah, hit that like button. You at work grinding, Prince Bud? Good job. Now don't accidentally throw the long luggage on the wrong cart. Now I don't know what you do at the airport, but just be safe, okay? He said, "I suffered identity crisis since the day I was born." Yeah, a lot of us have. A lot of us question, like, why are we here? You know, things aren't perfect. We have health issues, whatever. And we question the Most High. And I think God understands us questioning Him sometimes, because we're human. We don't come out the womb just blindly believing and having that blind faith sometimes. Sometimes we come out of the womb just questioning everything, like, why me? Why am I here? What's my purpose? You know? But that's some things that take time and dedication and diligence and really seeking him. And once we seek him, God will put an understanding in our souls and our hearts, and it'll all make sense. And then we just have to do his work. Yeah. You're welcome, Candy Cane Lane. Hey, Pre. Jet 2 Holiday. Thank you for getting them out of here, Project Leroy. How you doing? Hey, Black Couch. How are you? You was up late on Creek Creek's Live. You usually dip out kind of early, but I clicked back on for a bit and you were still there. I was like, look at Couch trying to be grown up late. That was funny. Oh, snap. Who in the building? Wolfpack May. What's going on, Wolfpack? How are you doing? How is it going over there in the Wolfpack? What's up with JCW? I hope all is well with you as well. But yeah, I didn't plan on being here that long, you guys. I just wanted to put a word out, say hello, get some things off my chest. The pastor from the one generation church, which A Team is the one that she always posts them on Sundays, which I appreciate so much. I finally just subscribed because I'm like, I like this stuff, because when I don't go to church every Sunday. I go maybe twice a month, and then the other two I'll watch it live. But for the last couple of weeks, I went to church on Mother's Day, of course, just to get that validation, I guess. But no, he had a good word as well. But this last Sunday, I stayed home because I was just me. I did a lot on Saturday. My son had a game. I had a lot of cleaning to do, even though I try to do everything on Saturday so that on Sundays I can just relax and heat up whatever I made, and that'll be our dinner. Or sometimes I'll put in, um, you know, uh, some meat in the oven and make some fixings with it. But Saturday I did a lot of running around, so I wasn't able to do what I needed to do. But I slept in a little bit on Sunday, and so One Church Generation got on there, and one of the messages was that we are supposed to what did he say? Ah, 18, Mark, if you're here, rather than tearing people down, you want to build them up, basically, you know? And I think that I needed to hear that. Wolfpack, you got to stop apologizing, bro. We are over that. See, that's the thing, too. Like, I just spoke about living in the past and moving forward. When we constantly looking back, you can't move forward. You know, will our relationship or friendship be the same as it was before? Probably not, right? Because I think both of us may have said and did things that were unbecoming of like a true friendship, right? I apologize, you apologize, you have to let it go because I've moved on, and I kind of don't want to be reminded of our little tryst that we had. I'm over it. I think we cool. You know, we cool. I'm over it. Yeah, you was a little mean. And yeah, you talk shit about me behind my back. And then I came forward and talked shit publicly. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how I do. I'm a real one. But it's in the past. You know, I appreciate you for who you are. Now you done lost me, knocked me off of what I was saying. I don't even, oh, the pastor. Yeah. So building up rather than tearing down. And that's really just a message about having humility and implementing the fruits of the spirit, right? Long suffering, patience, kindness, meekness. It goes a long way. And because I know this, I can't be that person. I have to take the high road. And sometimes it just kills me to, but I know I have to. Like, for example, there's somebody who kind of banned me, right? And I'm still kind of hurt by that. And for some reason, so I deleted my, their feed and unsub since like since you want to shadow ban me, you don't have nothing to do with me. Okay, fine. I still don't know what I did. I thought about reaching out to the person offline and saying, hey, is there something? But I said, you know what? God knows what he's doing. So I said, I'll let it go. For whatever reason, this person's channel was recommended to me again. And I'm like, why? I haven't been on this person's channel in weeks because they don't F me, so I don't F them. Come to find out, this person is going through a lot. And my first fleshly was like, right? But I had to pray about that thing. It's like, ooh, I could really go in. I'm not going to do that because I know better. And because I know better, my consequences are going to be 10 times more. So I have to take the high road. I have to be humble. I have to build up. So nothing but prayers and blessings to that person because what they're going through is, I wouldn't wish it on nobody. I really wouldn't. Not even on them. Even though I feel slighted in a way, I still wouldn't wish it on them because that person has responsibilities and they're responsible for little people, you know? But we have to start building each other up. You know what I mean? And before I would like to sit and listen to a lot of gossip, right? I ain't gonna lie. I may not contribute a lot to it, but I'll sit there and listen. Like, what? Right? But even that's a sin because what that's doing is condoning what the other person is doing. Right. And so I have to be strong enough to just block it out. Um, and I'm trying to figure out a way to let a person that I really admire let them know, hey, I'm not really down with, because they have a lot to say about a person that we both kind of don't, but yet this person is friends with that other person. So I'm like, you doing all this hanging around with her, but she's constantly in your mouth. Yes, this lady is mean and she's a and I don't mess with the lady like that, but you do. So why is her name in your mouth to me? That type of stuff I don't like. And even in the midst of our last conversation, she brought this lady's name up 3 times and it came to me like this is gossip. This is wrong. And then I thought, well, shit. If you telling me this person's business and you supposed to be friends with her, and you telling me because you know I don't F with her like that, what are you telling her about me? You know? And I'd already got the Holy Spirit already told me, don't tell her anything personal. Don't tell her anything. Just keep the conversation surface. But the thing is, I'm not a surface person. If I get to know you and I'm at your house and you come to my house and you do this for me and I do this for you, I'm the type of person where the relationship has to go deeper. It has to evolve. And sometimes that involves me being a little more vulnerable and you being vulnerable, right? So it's hard to have surface level relationships with people that I see often because that's just not my personality, you know? You guys know how I am. I like to ask questions. People ask me questions. I like to go deep. We discover, what makes you you and how you think and well, why would you do that? You know? So it's hard to have those relationships, but I'm gonna have a talk with her. I'm gonna wait until she does it again and bring it up, bring the person name up again, because it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. Um, I just have to figure out a way. And that was on my heart even when I woke up this morning. I was like, dang, I shouldn't be sitting there listening to all this shit. You know, I'm just as guilty as her, honestly. You know. So of course I have to ask God for forgiveness and help me to be stronger and say, when somebody starts gossiping on that, I don't want to hear nothing about that lady. And honestly, this will be a test. It says to test the spirits. The Bible says to test the spirits. And a lot of times when we shut people down, the real them comes out. And she may not want to F with me no more because I'm shutting her down. And that right there will be a blessing in itself because that wasn't somebody I needed to be around anyway. I'm just foreseeing what will happen, you know. But I'm hoping she'll take it in stride and be like, you know what, you're right. I shouldn't be talking about this woman's business. Because even in the midst of her telling me something prior the day before, she was like, I really shouldn't be gossiping about her business, but she did it. And I'm just like, I was just like, oh yeah, that's unfortunate. You know, well, God bless her. That's all I can say. Well, God bless her. But then I seen her the next day and it was just more and more. And I'm just like, it makes you wonder if a person dislikes someone so much, why do they hang out with them? Hey, thanks, Project Leroy. And then I got to thinking more, and it's like, well, because sometimes people need that validation. If this person is doing worse than me and I'm hanging around with them, it makes me feel superior to them, you know, and it gives me more to talk about. And I wish that lady, even though I do not like that lady at all, I wish that lady knew how much the person that I deal with, I wish she knew that she was being talked about so that she would just keep her mouth shut and wouldn't divulge so much. I wish she knew. But God will reveal it to her, hopefully. Oh, you alive? Chelsea says, there's a song I love that says, and I know many are searching for answers far and wide, but I know we're all searching for answers. Only you provide because you know just what we need before we say a word. That's right. God knows everything. He created us. He created us. I was listening to Jonas Kelly this morning, and he was saying, he's such a good, he's a hood dude, but he knows his word. And he was saying, you know, God created, he knows us. Do you know every one of us has a different fingerprint? No fingerprint is the same. All of our DNA is altered and differently. That's how much God loves us, that we are individual. We are one person. He pays attention to us. So don't ever think, oh, it's 9 billion on the planet, 9 billion people on the planet. God don't care about me. False. He already knows what you're gonna go through before you went through it. And he's gonna get you through it. Right? That's why I've learned to, when it comes to major issues, major problems, I take it to him first. Rather than getting on the phone, this is what's happening. I don't know what to do. No. I take it to him first. Right? Because again, people will take your bad news and your shit and use it against you and be plotting and planning and be happy that you're suffering rather than providing any meaningful advice. Deep down, they happy you're going through what you're going through. So we have to be careful. Prince Bus says, for a short while, I went through what Riaz went through too, where I felt ashamed to be Black and enjoyed my own skin. Oh my God. Oh, that's horrible. Ashamed to be Black. You know, people are paying for melanin. You know, people are getting their lips injected to look like you. Prince Bud, you are a beautiful Black man. Your hair is natural, beautiful. God knew what he was doing when he made you. Everything about you. They pay money for our DNA. What are you talking about? You ever see that movie Get Out? That shit is real. I'm glad you're not going through the identity crisis, but just to add on to it, boy, please. They want what you got. We are the strongest physically on this planet, mentally strong. You better embrace that shit. Black is beautiful. He said, but after I moved, I felt an acceptance towards myself. That's right. Yeah, sometimes where you are can hold you back too. If you're living in a place that's constantly reinforcing something negative, sometimes we have to physically move and get around people that love who they are. You know, that's why it's so important that we surround ourselves with like-minded people, people that are rooted in God first, regardless of skin color. Because sometimes people that don't look like you will be the first to accept you than the people that do look like you. And that's a damn shame. But sometimes we got to move away from those old people, those people that have been around us for years, people in our family that made fun of us and made us feel bad for the way we look. F 'em. We got to move around and surround ourselves with people who love who they are. So I'm glad for you. Yeah, Wolf Pat. Project Lure said, I still bring up the time Mo bought $32 worth of donuts and didn't bring us any. Ooh. My next door neighbor said the same thing. We were talking about Dunkin' Donuts one day. And I said, you know what, Mr. Stan, I paid $32 for a dozen donuts. Hold on, y'all. For a dozen donuts and a cup of coffee. He said, woo. He goes, did you get it? I said, yeah. I said, but I never went back again. He said, good for you. He said, but I wouldn't have paid for that. I said, I know that's right. Darius Mosley. I'm just scrolling and liking. I appreciate you. Smash that button. Hey, Kaylin. All right, Sam Goose. Readings the Green Log Book. Proverbs 9:8. Rebuke a wise man, and he will love you. Remember me. Okay, I got you. What up, Scorpio Mama? How are you? Principal says, really, I've never heard of people buying our skin. I love that movie. Good movie. Yeah. our melanin, they take that and inject it. Yeah, for sure. You got to think about organ harvesting and all that stuff is real. Absolutely. Absolutely. But you guys, I got to get off of here. My son will be home soon. So I got to get this snacks and this food and get back before he tears my house up. But I love you guys. I hope you guys have a beautiful week. Stay positive, stay rooted in God. Be grateful for who you are and where you come from. Even the bad. That's the whole point. Even the bad. It starts with self. We have to build ourselves up, and then we will have the energy to build others up. But putting people down, especially because we can't control what they do, no. Let them do them. Have radical acceptance. Radically accept where people are in life and let it go. There's more than one way to do something. Just remember, we are not the expert of everything in life. Yes, we may have been there, but guess what? The way we did it may not work for that person. And that's okay. It really is okay. It took me years to learn that. When I realized I had a control issue, I'm trying to control what another person does. Nah, that's not the way to do it. I need to control me. I need to control me and the way I respond to them and what they got going on. Let them do them. God will take them through the path that they need to. The other day, my son said, today I'm going to exercise my free will and I'm going to do this instead of that. I said, okay, do you, right? I said, do you, son? Just know that there are consequences sometimes to your freedom. Make the right choices. But I got to give him some leverage so that he can learn. Somebody said sometimes, bro, you got to just back up and let him do it so that he can learn the hard way. I said, you're absolutely right, because he's going to be a man soon. So I take the advice of others that have been there, especially men, because they can tell me what it was like when they were 11. Right? Thanks, Scorpio Mom. So are you. Hey, the word. How you doing? I got to go back and watch your last live stream. I listened to some of it where you had Tay J, I think, in the panel, but I wasn't able to listen for long. So I got to get back on you. I just wish you would go live earlier, man. You'd be going so live so late. I had already been taking my melatonin and be ready to knock out by the time you go live. Prince Buzz says, yeah, living in Arizona made me realize that I'm too happy with my life to live in a state that people don't like me or other. That's right. Sometimes you got to move around. You have to, and I'm glad for you. Yeah, absolutely. But you guys, I gotta go. It's hot. I'm sweating. I gotta use the bathroom, and I gotta go in this commissary and pick up some stuff. But have a blessed week. I love you all.